Welcome back to another episode of Ribs Real Estate and Ramblings with me, Roy May of Bach Realty Group, your host. And as always, we are coming to you from Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue in Aggieland. It's right off the bypass. I'm going to tell y'all again and again and again and again. If you're in College Station, you're in Bryan College Station, make sure you stop by. Fantastic barbecue, wonderful people. So it's definitely got to be on your stop or on your bucket list, kind of on your list when you come into town. Today, I am joined by one of my favorite people in the university, and really one of my first points of contact in the university, Karen Cambronero. And Karen works within the VRSC, which is the Veteran Resource Student Center at Texas A&M. And she is really kind of the tip of the spear for the admissions portion, correct?
Yes.
And we were telling this off, and you know what, before we get into this, here's some numbers that if you're not familiar with A&M, I think you should know, and I'm gonna have to read these off. So in 2019, Texas A&M was ranked number 1 as the best value for veterans. In 2020, it was ranked the number 3 college factual best for vets in 2020 and number 1 in Texas. And there's, well, as of the count that I saw, right around 1,400 student veterans on campus.
Yes, grad and undergrad.
Yeah, grad and undergrad. So that's actually about 2% of the population. Because we're somewhere around like 72,000 or million, who knows at this
million.
point, how many students we have. But so what I want to do is we're talking, we're just chatting like we always chat. But I wanted you to make sure you told us. Tell me about kind of how it was all born, how the VRSC was born, and you can and you know feel free to say whoever it was, and just remember it's going on YouTube, so be nice.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, just tell us kind of, because you were telling me you started in the Trigon.
Well, okay, so I started first. I am the OG. I have a cup that says so. But I started working with vets. Actually, I started working with commissioning programs, the enlisted commissioning, like green to gold.
Army's green to gold.
And worked with them for a while, and then in 2000, God, I don't even remember, maybe in 98, I don't know. Anyway, at some point, I started working with all veterans.
Okay.
And then it got too big. People started coming home from the war. It was too much for one person. So when we first started, I was out in the GSC in Guam, and you had to go through 2 locked doors and down a long hall and around the corner just to find me.
And I remember that because when I first got to campus, the first time I tried to find you, I think you were just like, you know what, just tell them that you're here and I'll come up.
Yes, yes. And so then Colonel Smith, sorry. So we had started meeting, the 3 Ps and me and a couple other people, and we started meeting in the war room over at the Trigon and planning this one-stop shop, which is not a good idea. It's not a good idea. And there's a reason, but so anyway, the VRSC was born, but Jerry wasn't getting nobody was coming in because he didn't know. I mean, nobody knew about them. So I was getting swamped because I'm the admissions lady, so everybody wanted to come to me. So he moved me over there. And I've been in the VRSC, God, since at least 2012. And
yeah, because when I first contacted you, you were still out in the GSC.
Yes.
Which is literally like it may as well be West Texas.
I know. It's Guam, I'm telling you. So then we were in this little bitty office. Remember the little bitty office at Coldus?
And at this time, enrollment isn't quite where it is, but it's not that far off.
Right.
And probably I would be willing to bet that, generally speaking, that 2% number is probably pretty steady.
Yes.
So you're still talking about 1,300 student veterans that are
and
at
it goes
Texas
up
A&M.
and down. Like
Yeah.
sometimes graduation will wipe us out.
Yeah.
And we'll have right at 1,000 or something.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like as conflicts have changed and really kind of as the conflicts wind down, I feel like the number probably at least tries to remain a little bit more steady. And that would be my guess. Again, I don't see the numbers, but with deployments, you're always going to have spikes when people can and can't, and just kind of how the cycles of combat work.
Yep.
But so you're talking about, let's say it was 1,200, even if it was 1,000. Was it about the size of this room? Is what it felt like.
Pretty close.
Yeah, it was so small. But I remember going over there and the support was there, and the personnel, y'all were there, and it was helpful. But how that has changed.
Wow. Yes. So So they worked with this Marine Corps veteran, the Canals family, and Don and Ellie Canals donated, I don't know, some ridiculous
The kind of money
number
required
with a lot of zeros
to get your name on a building or a
yes.
room.
And so they totally, I think that was like the old hotel part of the MSC.
Yeah, they told me that. It was part of the guest hotel that they had in the MSC at the time for like dignitaries or traveling administrators or stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
And so they wiped it out, and this place is gorgeous. I mean,
I went by and saw it. It's unbelievable. Well, there's a square footage issue. I mean, it's so much more room. Imagine kind of really, it's like part of a hotel. It's like guest lodging for administrators and kind of, important people that came to visit A&M. And so
I think it was 1,000 square feet maybe at coldest. And then we went to about 4 when we moved to the basement we were in the basement at the MSC. And this is close to 10,000.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. and I had the opportunity. I had some friends in town. Gosh, I don't know. It was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I was just taking them around. Took them to the MSC, of course. And who do I see walking down the hallway but Colonel Smith? Right here comes Jerry. And I'm like, well, I guess we're going to talk to Jerry. Mm-hmm. What's funny is this is the first time I knew that y'all had moved. And so he's like, let's go over to VRSC. Wow. Let me show you. I was like, what are you talking about? Where are you going? He goes, yeah, no, it's this way now. And we went up there, and unbelievable what's up there. And kind of you have like the break room and kind of like the study areas. And one of my favorite things, and you said it's really like your favorite thing, is Aggie Shields.
I love Aggie
And
Shields.
so, I'm just going to let you. Aggie Shields is a student organization. It's unbelievable, and what it is, they provide a library of textbooks for veterans, for student veterans. And if I'm wrong or if I'm leaving something out, please make sure you correct me. And it's to kind of help alleviate the cost of textbooks for veterans.
Well, the goal is that a veteran doesn't pay.
Exactly.
And seriously, these were kids. They weren't veterans. They weren't dependents. They didn't have anything to do with it. But it was during the war, and they decided they were going to start collecting textbooks for the veterans. And then they would come in. They would come into the VRSC in that little bitty office, and they would be like from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on certain days, and they would be there all evening, like 10, 11 o'clock at night. They've got books all over the floor. They're logging everything and throwing old ones out and keeping the good ones, and that. I think we had like 3 bookshelves at that point. And
I remember it wasn't much. Now, when you think relative to how much of the square footage that took up in there, it might be bigger percentage-wise.
Yes.
No, the new libraries. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the new libraries.
2,
Bigger
3 rooms.
than this whole room.
Yeah, it looked like when I was up there, and a lot of the doors were closed because when we were up there, it was before the students were back. It looked like it looked like it had been 2 hotel rooms they took the wall out of.
Oh, easy.
That's what it looks like, because these were the old hotel rooms. So if you can kind of picture 2 pretty nice sized hotel rooms and just chop the wall out.
And
it looks like a library too.
It does. It's got those rolly shelves
Yeah.
and stuff, and so they get money from. They usually get a donation from Brazos Valley Cares, and they give them money to keep in the pots, so that if you come in to get a book and it's not there, they'll buy it.
Wow.
For a veteran. Now, dependents don't miss out either, because they get to come in a week after the veterans, and they can get their books.
Wow.
So, it's my favorite. I think it's cool. It saves the veterans money. It saves parents money on their kids, and
and I mean, not all veterans are coming to school with a wife that's got a full-time job and this and that.
Right.
Some veterans are, their GI Bill and the grants are basically all they have to go to school, but they're still wanting to make school a reality. So it's, something like that I think it's so special. And this kind of goes into something I've talked about probably a handful of episodes, if not more. It's just, I think Aggie Shields really exemplifies the kind of kids that really do get an A&M.
Yes.
I think obviously your grades have to be good to get an A&M, but I think there's just so much more to it that really makes an Aggie an Aggie. And I've said this too, with Brazos Valley Cares being a part of this and donating the money, you see it reach out into the Brazos Valley. So it's not just Aggies around here. It's really kind of that Aggie spirit that permeates the Brazos Valley, especially Bryan College Station. Because Brazos Valley Cares has a bunch of events. I've been to a handful of them. I spoke at one of them actually. I did. Yeah. I don't know, like the years just blur at this point. But I think it's so special. And Aggie Shields, I'm the same way. It's one of my favorite student organizations. Obviously, I'm going to be biased as a veteran. But to see from when I saw it, it was just those couple of bookshelves, to then be able to go see the new VRSC and see what Aggie Shields has really been able to do is, it's just really unbelievable. If you're local and this is something you want to donate to, you can always check out with Brazos Valley Cares. You don't have to be a student to be involved, obviously. So we're going to shift into admissions a little bit, and the first thing I want to talk about is the unique challenges doing it, as working admissions, but for veterans. And my story, I know, well, maybe my story isn't unique. Maybe I'm kind of run of the mill. But Karen, so I reached out. I decided I was going to switch from active to reserve. And Karen became my kind of point of contact, like primary point of contact. And I'm applying to get into Texas A&M class of 2014. And I was going to do green to gold. And I'm applying, and I'm sending stuff in. I think it was in Iraq. I was like half of the stuff I was sending in. I was deployed, trying to get an A&M, and so and Karen just works these miracles and somehow gets this moron into Texas A&M, and then so I needed an age waiver from the Army. I needed a 6 months worth of an age waiver. 6 months, all right. I was old. I was even old when I was young. But that was one of those things where, I thought I had a really good career. I figured they'd give me 6 months. They didn't. So I decided to tell the Army where they could stick it. And I had to work with Karen again and get in as class 2015. And so Karen had to turn around, work her butt off to get me back into Texas A&M. It was hard enough the first time, I'm sure. But she gets me in, and the rest is kind of history. If I'd have been in with class 2014, do I become a yell leader? Do I don't. Who knows? But everything worked out. But tell me one or two maybe of that are, it may be common to veterans, but that are it's unique, as an admissions thing that you deal with veterans. What are the kind of unique challenges that are really the hiccups or roadblocks for veterans?
Honestly, everybody has the same kind of issues. Veterans at the time, those were all combat vets.
Right.
And so you're dealing with a lot of other issues, PTSD and brain injuries and all that kind of
So dealing
crap.
with
disability.
Disability admissions as well, which I know is, I'm sure that's completely different as well.
And the PTSD, that you can kind of work with. The brain injury is really hard.
The TBI stuff.
Because just from working with him for so long, I know there's a short-term memory problem. There's the headaches and all the crap that goes with it. But that guy, if he's married and got kids and got brain injuries, engineering is gonna you're gonna screw the pooch there.
So you're having to have the hard talks with the applicants
yes.
as well.
But I'm mama, and
100% mama bear.
yes, and I'm gonna be in your face and tell you this is how it is, and
100% also accurate.
And I don't lie. Absolutely do not like lying. There is no point in it.
You don't want to hurt people's feelings, but maybe the unfortunate part is veterans probably deal with that maybe a little better.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're so used to getting pooped on as it is.
Well, I mean, actually, they thank me a lot of times because...
For not blowing hot air.
For me, yeah, for being straight up. I don't want you blowing smoke up my ass. I mean, I want to know so I can figure it out.
Well, yeah, just shoot it straight, and then from there we'll figure out. All right, well, so here's the roadblock, or here's something we've got to get through. And then now, since you told me now, maybe we can still get through it.
Yes, it's like back then everybody wanted petroleum engineering. I'm like, dude.
Oh, you're daddy.
Okay, you realize that's a roller coaster, right? So, but you have to have 2 physics and 2 calculus to get into engineering.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what it is.
I know.
Right.
Look, industrial distribution, I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. If you can do the engineering physics and you can do the engineering calculus, the rest of it's pretty much just drinking beer and talking to people.
Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm not a witness.
Oh, well, no, I said it. Look, I'm telling you, the top ID program in the nation is here. It is engineering, it could have been business. It's a fantastic degree, but those are that and like maybe the manufacturing where you actually have to do the manufacturing.
Yeah.
Because some people it doesn't click.
Yeah.
Like me. Doing the actual physics lab portion, I can do this stuff. The physics behind it is, if I can do it, I don't feel like I need the physics. It's because I can do it.
All I know is throwing up, it's coming down. But I mean, it is just being honest and being upfront, and they may get pissed off and hate you for it right now, but I'm getting a hug before they walk out the door.
That's fair. I have given you many hugs. That's true. In fact, when I went to see the VRSC, I took a picture in front of her door, and I was like, "Oh, I miss you. Where are you?" So this is the part, and just a couple more questions. This is the one that this is kind of like you maybe not staring dead into the camera, but because we are rated the way we are for veterans, and Texas A&M is popular for veterans, it treats veterans well. What would be some advice, whether they're on active duty or they're not on active duty, or if they're discharged and they're just regular veterans? What are probably maybe your biggest 1, 2, or 3 things that, hey, if you're coming to do this, whether it's at A&M or another college, like these are the things that please you have to know you have to do, like informational.
Read the website. Read. It's important. And if you call me and you haven't read the website, I am probably going to tell you to do some homework, which would involve reading the website.
It sounds like this never happens. Just maybe like once, right?
Right.
It's just not a sticking point at all.
Yeah. They won't let me put it on the website or on the front page of the A&M. But seriously, you need to know. If you read the website and you know that you've got a 1.6 GPA from Obi-Wan Kenobi University in Saskatchewan something.
Saskatchewan State Tech. There are some weird colleges and the education centers in the military, straight up.
There's some really weird ones. But then you're not going to get into Tier 1 university.
Right.
I don't care who it is.
So be realistic.
Yes, be honest with yourself. I don't care. I mean,
Do it or you will be.
I will tell you that you're going to blow your benefits and
Right.
end up with nothing. But you have to understand that, God, I can see this dude's face right now. But you have to be honest and know that, dude, you can't add looking at both hands. You aren't going to go to engineering. You're
Right.
probably not going to be a physicist. Let's look at something you can do.
Well, and so maybe that also goes both ways in the sense that, hey, you're good enough to get into tier 1 university, but let's talk about things. And like you hit on it, unfortunately, sometimes that conversation is with veterans that are dealing with TBI, and you just have to be honest with them. Sometimes it's like, hey, man, you're married and have 9 kids. Are you sure? Yeah. We should tell you, you probably don't need to be in the Corps. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But so really just kind of be honest with yourself and
yes.
again, not just getting into A&M or not getting into A&M or a tier 1 university. Well, once you get in, realize that you really do need to work towards your strengths.
Yes.
Because you don't get to renew your benefits, and they only last for so long once you start them.
And that doesn't mean, just because I tell you you're not getting into engineering, doesn't mean you're not getting into the university. I mean,
right.
if you've got the GPA, now I may tell you you're not getting into the university now, but if you will...
Big advocate for Blinn team?
Yeah, well, go over to Blinn or go over to, wherever, ACC, I don't know. You need these 3 classes.
Right.
And you need your GPA up.
Yeah.
If your GPA sucks, then you need to take, take the prereqs, but take some core classes that you're good at and jack your GPA.
And I feel like this probably goes both ways. One, you feel like when you tell veterans, like, all you have to do is work hard. Like, if you'll work hard and do these 3 things, you'll be good. And I feel like some veterans are like, I've got the drive, I'm going to do it. But then I also know that not all veterans are like that. And, it's like, you wish all Aggies were the greatest human beings on the planet. And, you wish every Texan, whenever they were outside of Texas, didn't make Texans look dumb. And yet here we are. Sometimes that was me.
It's the ones that think, I served.
You're welcome for my service, right?
Yes. Yes. They have all the I served crap on, but
they don't want to do any of the work. Yeah, it's...
You owe me. No, I don't know. You squat.
Yeah. It's just like anything else. It has to be earned. Look, again, it's one of my favorite people. She's literally, like, her help with me changed the trajectory of my life, honestly. It did, getting into A&M. And again, getting into A&M for the class year that I did, maybe that was just what was in the cards. But yeah, her dealing with me, sending documents, like pretty much literally from Iraq to her, like applying to school. So that was really awesome.
Are you not going to tell her about when I called?
Huh?
When I called?
Oh, yeah. So, when she called, so at this point I was home from Iraq, and I think I might have been on leave. I can't remember. But she called, and she's making me tell a story. She called, and my dad's class 66, my sister's class 95. And she called, and she told me I'd gotten in, and I broke down in tears. Like, it was all I wanted. So I broke down crying because I got into A&M.
It was so cute.
And she's really the reason why. And she had to do it twice. Like, Old Army does it twice. Okay. And well, sometimes you got to do it twice for Old Army because Old Army's a pain in the butt, which this guy. But yeah, so it just honestly, it truly changed the trajectory of my life. I'm sitting here right now doing what I'm doing because I think in part because I got an A&M, which is due to you, because I know that my file wasn't easy to deal with either. Well, I don't know. I don't deal with these files. It could have just been like run of the mill, like, oh, this is a pain in the ass too.
Do we have a second?
Sure, fire away.
Well, you said something a while ago about your strengths. Do you know we have a thing like that at the VRSC?
Mm-mm.
So there's tons of resources. One of them is VetMap. And VetMap, don't make me tell you what it is. I can't remember what all the words are, but
acronyms.
Yeah. Jason Walker, class of, I don't know.
Fight Texas A class of.
He's like the ultimate Aggie. It's Clifton's strengths, but he makes you go all the way through it. Like you're all the way to...
Trying to guide you into what you're good at. So it's almost like an ASVAB for college degrees.
Yes, ours is up on the wall with this big spreadsheet that's up on the wall behind glass, and so everyone in the BRSC had to do it, and all the employees and student workers. So we know who's good at what if we need to.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's so good, and the students, they're like, I don't want to do this, and blah blah blah.
Well, basically,
We tell Todd you're doing it, and then they love it. I mean, one meeting with Jason, and you can't help but love this little guy.
Yeah.
He's a tiny little flea.
And we can,
He is. He's our hummingbird. He's just flitting around all the time.
well, and again, it's such a valuable resource at Texas A&M for a university that has so many veterans that go here. I mean, when you think about 2% of a student population, you don't think that's a big number until you realize the total enrollment of Texas A&M. You know, it's not to mention the ones that are maybe enrolled at Blinn as well, so they're in the area in the Brazos Valley, which there are a ton of veterans in the Brazos Valley. So again, if you want to reach out, if you want to be a part of helping this, you can help out the Aggie Shields through Brazos Valley Cares. They have a handful of events during the year. One's a bowling tournament. They have a banquet, their annual banquet. So you can reach out to Brazos Valley Cares. And you can donate to help Aggie Shields out with this textbook program. So that said, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. I love you too.
Oh.
So, but yeah, this is one of the most important people in my life. Good old Karen Cambronero working at VRSC. And so that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank y'all for joining us. As always, coming to you from Cooper's Aggie Land right off the bypass. And thank y'all so much for listening. And again, if you guys want to support Aggie Shields through Brazos Valley Cares, I'm a veteran. I'm going to push. So thank y'all so much. Y'all have, you know what? I forgot one question. Because Amy, you can cook.
Are you going to ask me about those ribs?
I am.
I'm coming to Cooper's.
That's a popular here, and I mean for good reason. I've got bones everywhere. I love the ribs here. So, all right. Well, okay. How about this? You're going to a barbecue. What's your favorite side to bring? Or side to have? Like you're going to somebody else's barbecue, they're like, hey, I need you to bring a side. What's your go-to? Like you're going to bring it, and when you're done, it's going to be an empty container to take home and wash.
Oh.
And it can be simple.
I don't know. I've kind of been playing. I stole your beans.
She stole my beans.
I did. I didn't know what was in them, but I played around and figured it out.
The beans recipe was solid, yeah. Well, mac and cheese is always, that's always an easy one. So, all right. Well, and dessert too.
Yeah, dessert's good.
Barbecue does love a good cobbler.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they have here at Cooper's. But thank you so much for coming. That's going to be it for today's episode. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see y'all next time.